Hi, this is Anna and welcome to my channel. I'm finally getting around to recording my March books wrap up. I think I'm gonna split this into two separate videos because I have actually managed to read 7 books and 3 literary journals or literary magazines, you call them, in the month of March. And overall I would say the month was pretty successful. I've liked more books than I didn't, and I found some incredible gems of the book as well, so I'm pretty pleased. It's definitely been better than February, when February was just a slump. There's no other word to describe it. So in this part 1 video, I'll talk about the books I like the least, so to speak. Well, or maybe I'll do it chronologically. Let's not do it that way. Let's do it chronologically. So I'm going to start with the books I read first. Only 2 of them are an actual physical copy, and the rest of them will be electronic. So I've started the month by finally finishing Israel Isha Zinger Stanze or Station Bachmach, which is written in Yiddish and has been translated into Russian. I could not find an English translation of this one, which is pretty sad because the author has actually written this while living in New York, where he immigrated during World War II. His older brother is much more known, or rather his younger brother, I think he's the older brother, his younger brother is more known. He has a Nobel Prize for Literature. But I really enjoyed it. So this tiny book contains 3 short stories, and the last of the 3 stories has given the name to the whole book overall. And it's taken me nearly a year to read it, just because I've read the first of the 3 and left it. And I struggled with the language, so to speak, the most, because a lot of it is in Yiddish. With lots of translations, it has like a whole vocabulary at the end of the book where they tell you what different words mean in Yiddish, which I don't speak. My grandparents spoke it, but I don't. But I really enjoyed it. I particularly like the last story, and the setting is sort of between World War I and World War II, when the Russia was undergoing massive changes. It was going through the war within the country, and the story takes place in the region which is now Ukraine, but back in the time it wasn't really. It was disputed. It was disputed with Poland. It was disputed between the new Russia, the Poland, and the Ukraine. And it's just a lot of uncertainty and a lot of hunger and just grief. But the prose was beautiful, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I can't remember what I've given this book. Let me just open my Goodreads. I've given this 4 out of 5. Overall as a book. The last story for me was probably my favorite one. I then read Catch 22 by Joseph Heller, which I kind of read previously years ago, but I wasn't fully engaged with it. I think I was really busy at the time and I skipped a lot. But this time I read it from beginning to the end, and I did enjoy it. It was pretty good. But there are bits of it which I really disliked, just because I think they dragged about. So I gave it overall 4 out of 5 stars. It is a good read. It's definitely a book you should read if you want to understand modern culture, because there are words and idioms and scenarios described in this book which have since assimilated into modern Western culture. I really liked the whole thing with MMM, with the skim which was happening on the side. I liked the way the doctor was described with his fatalism and not believing in life. I loved the way Italy was described, even with all the prostitutes and the culture of horrors. It was good, but the ending I found to be really interesting. I'm so glad that the book has ended the way it's ended, because I can't see any possible other way to finish it. It's good, but I highly doubt that I will read it again. Maybe I will, like in 10 years from now, but not in the foreseeable future. I then read the 2 magazines from the BuzzFeed. I've read the March and the April issue. Let me just find it so that I can show you what I'm talking about. So I've started with, if I can get the titular page. Started with March Buzz. And I quite disliked it. I'm sorry to say, but I have given this 1 star because It primarily focuses on young YA and romance, which is not the two genres I'm particularly keen on. And they have their own magazine. Like, I don't understand why you need to give me excerpts from YA book in a magazine devoted for adult literature or literary fiction. If they didn't have a separate issue, then that would make sense. You just publish what people mostly buy. But they have a separate one, so I could not understand it. If you don't know what the BuzzFeed is, it's a magazine which gives you excerpts, like a blurb, not just a blurb, but like a bit of a chapter from 5 selected books, so you can try them, so to speak, and work out for yourself whether or not you like them. So I've read the March one and I wasn't too pleased with it. I found it to be quite boring. I haven't chosen a single book from March one. And then a very similar fate happened to me when I got to the April one. That's how the April looks one. The April was even more disappointing for me than the March, because in March at least it was like one story I was on the fence about, but April I just glanced through it and there was nothing from those 5 books which interested me enough to decide to pick the book up. It was a bit of a waste, but at least like I glanced through them really quickly. And then the 3rd book from the NetGalley, I got the BuzzFeed magazines from the NetGalley for review, which I'm not gonna do a separate review on. I will write it on the Goodreads. And then the book which I have requested is called The Orphan's Tale, and I don't have the picture on the manuscript they've sent me, so I will insert it. And the setting is World War II. We meet a young girl who saves a little Jewish baby, still a baby, I guess, 3 months. And we follow their life with how they try to evade the Nazis, how she tries to raise the kid. The premise was so good that I have requested the book. I was like, yeah, this is something I'd like to read. And I knew from the blurb that she will end up in a circus. And again, I wanted to give circus literature another go. But then the book went downhill from there, and it became just, to me personally, quite unreadable, because she goes into hiding and she comes across, because she's really, really hungry, and she falls into the forest and she's rescued by people from this wonderful circus who has the star heiress, the Jewish woman. They're trying to hide the fact that she's Jewish, obviously. She has fake documents. And this Jewish woman is then set with the task of training this young new girl how to be the heiress performer. And she does that in like bloody 6 weeks, to the point when the girl can do quite a few tricks. This was just not believable. It was so not believable, in fact, that it instigated me to go in search of some Circus du Soleil training videos. You can't go from complete novice, like a lay person from the street who has had a baby recently, so doesn't really have abdominal muscles to the extent, to go and do flips in the air on the top of the circus. It's just not bloody believable, and I was so irritated by it that I had to put the book aside, and then I came back and finished it. I'm not gonna tell you more because I don't want to spoil it for those of you who want to read it, but because that such a major part of the book was setting in a circus, I can't believe the author. It's just not believable. And if she makes such a mistake doing the setting, I don't want to read the rest. Like, I'm not interested in engaging the characters. I was disappointed, to say the least. I expected so much more from the book when I have requested it. But the other bits were like, they were good. Like, the character development was there. The ending was fair, in my opinion. So I ended up giving the book like 2.5 stars, which I've rounded up to 3 on the Goodreads. But this Russian guy who escaped the Soviets, and he's traveling with the circus. He performs as a clown, and he deliberately makes fun of Hitler, knowing that the Germans will be watching his performance. I mean, are you bloody suicidal? Are you a masochist and you just deliberately want to get yourself into trouble? I don't know. I'm on the fence about this book. It wasn't the best read. I'm not even sure I will recommend it. But if you don't know much about circus or about World War II and you would like to know a little more about the history, you'll probably enjoy it. It's just, if I'm one of those readers who are very, very picky, and I like the setting to be realistic. Either go completely fabulesque, or if you're trying to write something real, write something real. you're not gonna do flips in the air and somersaults if you have no muscles. And then the author tries to kind of reconcile the reader with the fact, and she goes like, oh yeah, the girl used to do gymnastics. Yeah, she used to do gymnastics before she got pregnant and she had a baby. She lost the baby. She did some high physical jobs. She was starving. She lost all her muscles. And then, even if she did gymnastics, it's very different from doing the stuff the aerials do. Right, enough of this. You know, I can go on a lot about the books. So that was end of part 1. In the second video, I'll talk about all the books I really liked, because the second half of March was much better half for me. So see you guys soon. Bye.